Are you in there?
On a dark Sacramento highway, cool wind in my hair, a rotten smell of ambition in the air. Up ahead there's an election. Biden was forced to step down. A new contender jumped ahead. Kamala now has the crown. Borders are, she was christened.
Do not come.
She should visit someday.
Not today.
Hasn't been there or Europe.
Haven't been to Europe.
What does it matter anyway? So illegals keep crossing. Unchallenged they come. From Kamala Harris, nothing's to be done. Welcome to Kamala's California. Such a high-tax place, such a high-tax place, such a littered space. They want the U.S. like Kamala's California. Something I despise, something I despise. Let's do better, guys. She's got pronouns in her email.
My pronouns are to you.
Draft inflation so high. She's pushing solar panels and saying gasoline should die. Taxation dances in the courtyard. Green New Deal so sweet. Subsidies for billionaires while others can't afford to eat. Welcome to Kamala's California. Such a high-tax place, such a high-tax place, such a big disgrace. Hard to survive in Kamala's California. What a harsh surprise, what a harsh surprise. There's no end in sight.
I'm not finished.
Crime so rampant they're fleeing.
Companies hacking their bags.
Empty stores from the take, and she said, we are all just victims here of the policies we made.
Prices have gone up.
From the vice president's mansion, she makes plans with glee. She's looking to California. She didn't just fall
You just fell out of a coconut tree?
Last thing I remember, I was dodging their schemes, trying hard to find the truth again, beyond their false daydreams. Relax, said the spokesman, we are programmed to deceive. Soon enough this will all be nationwide, so you can never leave.
They got what they asked for.
A good Tuesday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Tuesday night, the 27th day of August, 2024. And wearing the black hat tonight, just to confuse the haters out there. White hat, black hat, you never know what you get on the McFiles on a Tuesday night. It is good to have with your buddy Jeemes, Akers, the man with the plan. Buddy, it's so good to see you. Here for you tonight. I want to say it was such a pleasure having lunch with you last week, and we are so grateful to have you tonight, and we can not keep you long, but we want to keep you for a little bit because we want to talk about several things. But welcome back to the McFiles. Always a pleasure to have you, and we're grateful you answered the call tonight on a Tuesday night.
Well, Chris, it's always good to be with you, and I certainly enjoyed our lunch outing. It was a great suggestion, a nice place, and really good to just talk and catch up.
Same here, buddy. Same here. You're just a genuine guy, and I was bragging on you to everybody after I met you. I said, he's just an old teddy bear. I said, it's just like he is on the phone, and you've seen you on Zoom, and I said, he's just an old, just down-to-earth guy like I am, and that's what I love about you. And but it's so good to see you. I do want to ask you a question tonight. I know this is a legal question. We've got, to our audience, we've got Judge Sherilyn Allen coming Thursday night to talk about the legal ramifications of this, but I want to talk to you about the political ones, about what Jack Smith did today. He re-indicted President Trump. He rewrote that indictment and trying to get around the Supreme Court decision that Trump has immunity. At this late in the game, Jeemes, there's no way they're going to get a trial date before November. It just makes no sense to me. Do you have any idea why they would even do this again?
It's just political, as far from my perspective, it's just political gamesmanship. You know what it reminds me of is my mom and dad lived for years in this small town in southwest Ohio. And they would bring up every year a bond for to fund more schools. Education bonds, even though they have more schools and they know what to do with, they kept, and they would never accept defeat. The people would vote it down. It didn't matter. They'd bring it up again next year, just manipulate it slightly so that it sounded just a little bit different. And that's exactly what they're doing to Trump. These people do not accept defeat. They just, their target is Donald Trump, and they're going to keep after it and just massage the wording of indictments until they get something that sticks and they'll pass muster with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
It's all political.
It is all political, but I got a serious question to ask you. As political as it is, do you think that the New York case is going to send him to jail? We had James R. on last night, and James is pretty convinced Marshawn is going to put him in some kind of confinement. And whether it's home confinement or prison, probably going to revoke his bond and throw the book at him to keep him off that campaign trail, James, for the last 2 months. And I don't know if that's going to have any effect. But it's just the optics of it, and it's such a criminal thing, and he can appeal it. He's going to win on appeal, but an appeal is going to take months after the election to get it fixed. And the Supreme Court, I understand 2 days ago, rejected a plea from the Trump campaign to step in and stop this, and maybe they'll refile that. But I'm just curious what you think about that. Do you think he's going to face jail time?
Possibility. It's just a protracted lawfare being waged against him, and it's obvious politics to keep him from campaigning. It's obvious he has much more energy when he goes on the campaign trail than his opponents do, and that they want to keep him confined any way they can, keep him pinned up any way they can. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I view it.
You think Marshawn, your opinion, do you think Marshawn's going to make him a martyr? I think it makes him a martyr. I think it will backfire myself, but we got a crazy country right now, James. We got people that their head is so far in the sand, I swear, you have to air mail them in oxygen, and they've got their heads stuck so much up the Democrats' blank that they can touch their toes. And I swear, it just makes me shake my head at the mental and the psychological state of this nation tonight that's believing this mess, these lies, letting the media befoozle them into believing that Kamala Harris is a better candidate for this country than Donald Trump. And then today, I understand we got a story on our Telegram room. There were several hundred, I don't know how many, hundreds of former Mitt Romney staffers, former Bush Jr. staffers, former John McCain staffers, former, who's the other Yahoo, other staffers that have come and signed a letter saying they are going to be voting for Kamala Harris. These are Republicans, okay, in name only, of course. Adam Zingander, or whatever his name is, the jerk from Illinois, is in that bunch. But when you it's not shocking to me, but it infuriates me that people are that stupid, and it just bothers me that this country's in that state, and that's why it does concern me that they're doing this to him, because it's optics, and people are being so taken by this stuff, Jeemes. It's unreal. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime, how people have lost their natural born mind.
Well, I agree with you almost 100%. I used to, when I would teach political science, I would draw on the chalkboard or whatever I was using at the time, sort of a graph, and I said, here's the way people think the political parties operate, with the Democrats on the left-hand side and a linear line over to the Republicans. I said, that isn't today's politics at all. It's more like a horseshoe with the ends being closer to each other than they are on the ends of a linear a line graph. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
The elites of the parties are closer together in their thoughts, no matter what political label they're wearing. And they just they hate the idea of an outsider bringing in other ideas, and that's the mess we're in. And I mean, that swamp goes to other countries. We're starting to see all of this happen in other countries. I follow Thailand quite a bit, and the Thaksin's granddaughter just got elected as prime minister, and she has the same sort of swamp she has to battle against. Her party's a populist party, and it's everywhere. It is everywhere. Just like there's a spirit of lawlessness everywhere. And we're just watching it, and at times I'm like you, I'm just dumbfounded. Have we completely lost common sense? Where is that at with a number of these things that I read and hear? It's like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that wouldn't even have been on the thought train, and now it's a mainline track, that we're seeing when it comes to things like just sexual deviancy and a complete lack of respect for life. You know what happens when they run out of babies to murder? It's going to be people that are in their senior years, that these young people are going to think that there's no use spending money keeping them alive. If you throw the principle of life out the window, seniors are going to be next.
That's right, buddy. That's right.
I cannot believe just the pure idiocy of it, and there's a spiritual aspect to it which we share. Jesus Christ self-identified as the way, the truth, and the life, the only way, the only truth, and the only life. And all three of those aspects of the Messiah are under attack, frontal attack, in our culture today, or at least that's the way I see it.
No, but it's perfectly said, and I see it the same way. And would you have ever dreamed in a civilized society that a political party would have had a van outside their platform outside their convention aborting babies. 25 babies, James, is what I understand, got killed, murdered, slaughtered over last week's Demon National Convention. I mean, that's getting into the weeds of apostasy to where, Israel got to those places in her history where she was sacrificing babies just like the heathen. And, we're doing things right now, James, in this country that the animal kingdom don't do. We're doing things in this country that third world countries in the jungles of Africa with the juju and the voodoo doctors have got people under their spell and there's no light there that they do. We're doing far worse than all these nations in darkness that have no light, that have no gospel light hardly at them. And I'm telling you, neighbor, it's you start getting into this realm and, you start talking the line of no return. But when a political party reaches that point, they're killing babies at their convention. James, I don't know any other remedy for that except judgment. And I don't say that with glee tonight. It's very troubling. And, we are both of the same fiber. We are both of the same faith. And that was one thing I've always loved about you. And we enjoyed talking to you about it at the table last week. But I think that, it's a question I've asked, and I know you've asked it, and I think we've all asked it, is where does this go? Where does this point of no return happen for America? Because only God knows that. But we can't keep going down this road, James, without some kind of response, a divine response to what we're doing, because this is not something that is normal for societies that are supposed to be civilized, buddy.
Yeah, no, we are falling into a trajectory of several of the empires that have fallen in the past, and moral decay and a lack of leadership are the two common features in every case where an empire collapses, and we are seeing it unfold before our very eyes on a daily basis. And it's what gets me is that people are reveling in their sin. It's being celebrated, Chris. That's the troublesome part. It's not a reluctance. It is being celebrated.
That's right, buddy. That's right. It's very sad, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, it's the celebration of it and the arrogance of it. That's the other chilling part of this. I mean, you don't have hardly... I didn't see one word of condemnation come from any Democrat about that baby-killing issue last week in Chicago. Not one. I've not seen anybody condemn it. I've seen very few Republicans condemn it. We have railed against it. We lit it up Friday night. I think you were with me a few minutes Friday night. Probably a good thing you went on to bed, because McDonald lit it up here on the show. You might have disowned me as a friend, and I'm still lit up about it, and that's why I wore the black hat tonight, because when I get the black hat on, they know they're in trouble. But I'm telling you, James, this is the scary... Again, we're doing this without conscience and without any kind of sense that it's wrong. And when we reach that point, and that's why I go back, and again, I say this with all due respect. I hate saying things like this because, look, everyone is God's creation. And God loves people. He cares for people. But God has a specific way, and you said the term a while ago, Jesus Christ is the way to God. And there's a specific way that God demands man to walk in. And this society that we have seen that is in place right now, there has been like a spiritual and a mental fog that has crept in on the minds of people that will cause them, James, to look at that baby-killing ban. And from what I understand, Kamala Harris has one just like it in front of her house in California. And to have no conscience to what they were doing last week with those babies. And then I see this nutcase bunch out here with Jesus 2024 shirts on. And I don't mean this about Jesus. I love Jesus. But these people that claim, well, we're not going to go vote because our vote's going to be with Jesus this year because we don't want that evil Trump coming in, and we don't want evil Kamala. We don't want either of the evils in, because to vote for the lesser of two evils has somehow is somehow self-righteously bad, or it's somehow sinful, or we're voting for the devil, or we're voting for this. And these people, I want to shake a living, blanking knot into their spiritual pool. I do.
Well,
Save me here. Save me here before I say something I shouldn't say. Go ahead.
No, you're not leaving me much room on top of that soapbox, buddy. But I tell you what, I agree. There has been, Paul describes it, and sort of the end times when they're sort of like scales will come over people's eyes, as though they can't even see anymore the wrong and the error of their ways. And we are living through that right now. And it happened in Israel. Israel is sort of the spiritual template of everything. But even those people that were specially anointed by God turned to idols, turned to worshiping things they could create with their own hands. And instead of worshiping the Lord God of the universe, they worshiped man and man's creative abilities and man's ability to arrive at solutions and solve problems. And that's what we're seeing, a reliance on man in every area. And once you do that, then everything becomes relative, and it's just sliding off the scale of common sense.
Yeah, and have you ever asked yourself the question why this is so complicated? Because I've been asking myself that recently, that there's no more black and white to me than this. I mean, it's not like this is rocket science, James. You're either voting for life or death. You're either voting for transgender dominism, or you're voting for some kind of sensibility when it comes to our school kids and our children. You're voting for either lawlessness, or you're voting for a closed border and the laws to be upheld by our nation. You're voting for an economy that's not going to make you go into a grocery store like I did today and not even put 10 items in my cart and almost have to pay $100 for 8 items in a grocery store. And we got a video from Alaska that's even going to blow people away tonight more. And James, I'm telling you something. I don't see how this is so complicated and how people cannot just say, okay, I see it. And unless and I know what you're saying is true, but it does make you wonder why we have gotten to this point. And I don't want to blame things on anybody, because I think it's a potpourri of things. But I will say this. A lot of it comes down to those pulpits in this country and these spiritual voices, these prophets, these cowardly teachers, these cowardly people that claim they're of God and their faith, and they're leading people on a path down to the pit of hell itself in their pursuit of popularity and their pursuit of riches and their pursuit of others. This is my soapbox number 2, by the way, so you can get up on here anytime you want to. But listen, there's not a specific reason why, but I will tell you this. The spiritual condition of the nation has a lot to do right now with the political condition of it. They both suck right now. They both suck, top to bottom.
Well, I saw somebody, I was watching a program the other day, and they had a quote by, I think it was maybe Charles Finney. But the idea was that when you have a society that is in spiritual collapse, free fall, that the problem is the pulpit.
Yes, it is.
And I think it's exactly. I would not want to stand in the place of judgment for some of these people that who are responsible for spiritual leadership, that refuse to take a stand for what is right and what is biblical. It just boggles my mind that a lot of this we're talking about is rot in the church. And if the church was living the way it should, if the pulpits were manned by pastors of integrity and courage instead of those and you hit it right on the head, looking for popularity, they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or more important, if they take a stand for something, then people will quit giving money. It is killing us. It is killing our culture, and we are just seeing the deterioration day by day.
And I see a comment, and they're right. They said if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And Jeemes, that's exactly right. I mean, by their silence, they're making a choice. And these people that are doing this, they'll argue up and down with you. Oh, no, we're not going to choose the lesser of two evils no more because I'm tired of choosing the lesser of two evils. Well, you don't have the lesser of two evils here. You've either got life or death. You've got lawlessness or not. I don't know what part of this they don't get. And I was saying this last night with James R. Late. We had a record crowd last night. I want to thank everybody on X for being with us last night. We had a wild night last night. It was a great show. But I said something at the end. I said, look, these people that are doing this, they don't realize, James, the powers that they're putting in by their silence, they're going to come to their house. They're going to come eradicate the Christian faith. That's what they want. They don't care about Trump. Ultimately, he's standing in the way of them and us. What they want are the people of faith. I've got a video we're going to play about Matt Walsh tonight, what they've done to him in this country, and it is ungodly. And Matt Walsh is a man that is standing up to try to define a man and a woman in this country. That's simply what he's trying to do. And they are blackballing him. They are threatening his life. He went to church Sunday, and he had a guy that's in his church tell him that church that he was going to is a church of love and not hate. And Matt would do wise not to come back if he didn't want to get hurt. He said that in front of Matt's boy and his children. And this low-life bunch that does this stuff, they don't care about the families. They don't care about people. And this same bunch that's cowardly and silent in the face of evil don't realize they don't care. They want your silence. Because when they get in power, you ain't going to be silent. Because they're going to come knocking on your freaking door at 3 a.m. in the morning and hauling you off to never be seen again. Correct?
Yeah. No, I'm of that opinion too, Chris. If you have no moral constraints on government, in other words, government isn't aiming to be good to the majority of its people anymore, then everything is on the table. It's almost, like the totalitarian regimes we have seen in the past, that captured the spirit of advanced cultures. These weren't backward people that supported Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany. It was a spirit of the times, a spirit of lawlessness, and people are, I'm just, everywhere I look, it's like a massive propaganda campaign that's underway. This whole concept of, we don't have to have any policies. All we have to do is be a party of joy. It is absolutely absurd. And what they're doing to Donald Trump is going to lead to a constitutional crisis. You're going to have overlapping crises around the world. And Kamala Harris is not equipped to deal with any of them. And so I'm telling you, there is a scenario that I see unfolding that just absolutely scares the bejesus out of me, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Listen, we got other things to talk about real quick here. Zuckerberg comes out tonight. We're going to talk more about this on the news section here tonight in a minute. Zuckerberg came out today, admitted basically what we've known all along. I've suffered 3 channel takedowns on YouTube. Zuckerberg's not in charge of YouTube, but I've suffered loss on Facebook. And Zuckerberg pulls the strings to all these other high-tech industries, and in they call it Simi Valley out there, or whatever you call it out there in California. But that they were censoring people, James, about the COVID back in 2021. And he apologized to the American people for censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story, claiming it was Russia collusion when it was proven it was not. And we got taken down for that. We got taken down on Facebook for several things we posted. We got taken down on YouTube. We lost 2 channels, over close to 100,000 subscribers when you start adding it up, what we have lost. And Matt Walsh was talking about this tonight. He lost. Look, our losses were like a speck in time compared to what Matt Walsh is going through tonight. Lost $100,000 a month in revenue ad because of what they've done. His Twitter account got hacked because of what they were doing. Brother, I'm going to tell you something. Nothing, and I will say this, nothing will be done to Mark Zuckerberg for doing that. That was illegal to me, James. That was not just illegal, it was more immoral, certainly. But that was illegal. Yeah. Was it not?
But Chris, how many times have we seen this replay? Where somebody pushes things too far to the left, and when they get caught, later on, it's, oh, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Well, it will happen again. I've been watching the Telegram CEO that was arrested in France. Let me tell you something. There is a lot going on with all of the social media platforms. Telegram had, I think, if I read an article correctly, on the order of 40 censors to sort of patrol things and determine when they got out of bounds. Meta has 20,000 censors. And we are living in an age where the European community is just going bananas. They're making all of these rules, and what it amounts to, and we've seen it in this country, they label hate crime as political stances that they disagree with. It becomes hate crimes. And the European Commission has legislated against hate crimes. And they're trying to get Elon Musk and X, based on the last interview with Trump, declared to be, that it's all hate speech, narrative and hate crimes. Have you ever seen the like? And I'm telling you, we're in trouble. At the same time, nothing is secure. So that 2.5 billion records, individual records, tax records, and other things were compromised here by hackers. We live in an absolutely crazy world.
Yeah. Silicon Valley. Thank you, Travis. Not Simi Valley. Silicon Valley. I knew there was something. Thank you, Travis. Silicon Valley. Chris's memory goes sometime. James, you're right. The only thing I can liken this to, and is George Orwell's 1984. I've seen the movie. They made a movie about it in 1984, of all things. It's over 40 years ago now. But the book it's riveting. And look, when George Orwell wrote this, he wrote this in the 1950s. And I don't even think George Orwell, if he was alive today and seeing this, what's going on now, because what he painted, James, was fairly mild compared to what they're doing right now. But he saw the future, and he saw a totalitarian state where the government controlled all the narrative of the media. They controlled what you eat. They controlled how you exercise. They controlled sex. It was outlawed. You couldn't have sexual relations with women. As married couples even, and the women were celibate, the men were celibate. It was like a form of it was unreal. It was like a glorified monastery on steroids. I mean, seriously, and I'm not being funny, but that's how that society was painted in the book, and it got to the point they were putting people in jail for what they thought. How do you read somebody's thoughts? And James, that's what they're doing now. Goes back to the Telegram guy. They didn't arrest him for anything he did. They're ticked off that he's not censoring networks like this, and we can't post on Telegram anymore without him censoring people and saying that's false, that's false, that's false. They're convicting him of something he's not doing, not what he is doing.
Yeah, no, it's that's a scary precedent they're trying to set up there, and oh boy, I'm telling you, I would have, and a couple of my missies in the past, and I can't think of his name. He's a very well-known figure, and he said in the future, it's not going to be that nobody will believe in anything that'll be the problem. The problem will be that people will believe in everything.
Everything, yeah. That's a good point. That's a great point.
and we've come to that point in social media. I did a piece a couple years back, and I cited a study that was done, and they put in front of students, freshmen, sophomores, if memory serves me correct, a number of scenarios, and they could not tell the difference between what was fabricated and made up and what was true. And I think we have a culture, especially now that critical thinking is no longer a part of college and university, for the most part, curricula. They just, there is no critical thinking. It's all pushing a narrative that the professor wants to do. And as we talked at the table, I am convinced, I need to write a paper on this. I am convinced all of that started back during the Vietnam War era, when you had people that escaped the draft by going into education.
Excellent point.
And they were anti-authoritarian. And so everything that the government did was wrong. And these people, as they got tenure, they just let those messages run deep, and any contrary narrative was drummed out of existence. There's no such thing on campuses anymore as academic freedom or freedom of speech, certainly. It's all narrative of one side. And we have generations now of young people whose minds have been clouded with that sort of thing. I've got a good friend that says, what we need is critical thinking. But his idea of critical thinking is the ability to be critical of the government or Christianity or any foundational principle. To him, that's critical thinking, to believe what he believes the students ought to believe. Well, and we have that in spades in education today.
I'm glad you said that, because I want to ask you a question about that, and it's well said about the draft dodgers. Two things. This group that you're talking about, they're not critical of liberal government. They wouldn't be critical of Harris and Walsh and Biden's, all these policies and all this stuff that's in this government. Now, the people you're talking about wouldn't be. You nailed it in the second part of what you said, Jeemes. They're after, again, Christian thought. They're after conservative thought. They're after any dogma, any ideology that does not fall in line with the state, this totalitarian state. They want to control everything we do, everything we say, everything we eat, what they tax us for, what they tell us we can have. You're going to have an electric car, or we're going to just destroy the coal industry. If you don't eat a certain kind of food, we'll just put the other food out of business, or where we'll make you do it. If you don't take the government health care plan, we'll put the doctors out of business. We'll put the healthcare industry out of business, to where you have to accept Obamacare. That's just how they do it. That's always how they've done it. The critical thinking part comes in. They claim that if we as conservatives question that, then we're not being tolerant of them. But yet they are absolutely non-tolerant of any ideology that opposes the government. So it ain't so much they're opposed to the government. They're opposed to any ideology that doesn't support a totalitarian state. Now, my question to you, your class when you taught it, did you see the signs of this then coming on? Were these students in your class open-minded about different opinion? Or were they already being trained then to just suck up the Kool-Aid and listen to the authorities that be and not question it? Because it seems like the only thing people question is when a Christian speaks or a conservative speaks or somebody with some morals speak. Jeemes, it ain't just, it's just like there is a magnet on people's back and a bullseye, I should say, on people's back and front that just speak truth and just bring a perspective that this is how things are. We got a right to our opinion just like these left-head morons do we not?
Yes, I agree with you. My students, I had the extreme good fortune to teach at a university where the dean gave me total liberty in the classroom. I would talk openly about Christian ideas and pray for students, and that you don't see that very much out there. The problem, one of the problems, it seems to me, and I say this at the risk of some of your listeners turning off their cell phone or whatever, is a lot of this is what we are seeing is playing out of a revised Marxist blueprint. In Marxism, you have to have an oppressed class. So we have a country where everybody, except for white males, for the most part, feel like they're an oppressed class.
Great point. Keep going.
And it is killing us. Now they'll tinker it and they'll fine tune it, but basically all forms of authority are to be distrusted. The state's boundary system that existed since the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, all of a sudden boundaries are to be open and not trusted. You know, it was a hallmark of international law for centuries that a state is responsible for defending its borders. And we have seen a movement in this, a deliberate movement to do away with our southern border for a political and ideological agenda. And we're seeing it play out before our very eyes. And the media is totally in lockstep with it. The elites that really control things are in lockstep with it. And my personal view is that if the Democrats get into office, you know, we will turn over decision-making in this country to an unelected elite.
Pretty much.
Will operate behind the scenes because the two people we have in office are just empty suits. They have no integrity or depth to them. You know, they're going to shift and sway with whatever the elites want them to say and do. And it's unelected people that are going to be making the decisions for your children and your grandchildren and mine. And that is one of the things that absolutely scares me the most. I see it coming like a train rolling down the tracks.
Yeah, without a doubt, buddy. Listen, man, I really, really deeply appreciate this tonight. I'm going to have a few news headlines. I'm going to let you go here in about 5 minutes. Any final thoughts? I do want to just get your take on Israel real quick tonight. We've not really talked about Israel a lot. Over the weekend, they launched a preemptive strike into Lebanon and also against Hezbollah. World went crazy, Jeemes, but there's reports. We got all of this highlighted on our Telegram room tonight. That they possibly stopped a massive attack on the northern town of Tel Aviv this weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They the preemptive strike was a absolute, in my view, strategic masterstroke. I'm telling you, I don't know. I get some a fellow from the Middle East that puts on live feeds coming out of Israel, and he has been posting in the Arab press. Nasrallah, who is the head of Hezbollah, has been taking a beating.
Yes.
Because the only thing that Hezbollah missiles hit was a chicken coop. And so there have been all of these various pictures and caricatures floating around the Middle East of Nasrallah dressed in chicken suits and chickens being the only casualties, and Nasrallah holding a scale where the head of Shukar and a chicken are of equal value. I mean, they are mercilessly pounding Nasrallah. And before this latest episode, Nasrallah was probably, in the Arab world, in the Middle East, one of the most respected figures in the Middle East because of his strategic acumen and this, that, and the other. He is taking a beating right now. The Israelis completely preempted a major missile barrage and turned that whole situation around.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Israel, a couple of quick things. Iran, do you think they're going to be dumb enough to attack her right now? I was reading some reports tonight on some of these Israeli websites that there's the conventional wisdom that Iran's going to do something, but there's other indications. There's a scene in Tombstone, my favorite movie, when Ike and the Cowboys have got Wyatt Earp cornered, and he tells Wyatt Earp, he said, "Law Dog, don't mess with us. We'll tear you to pieces." And he starts walking toward Wyatt Earp, and Wyatt Earp puts a gun right to his forehead, and he says, "You may get me in a rush, but not before I make your head a canoe." and Ike looks at him, and he says, and then his brother says, "No, he's bluffing." And Ike says, "No, he ain't. No, he ain't. He'll kill me. He'll kill me." And that's when Wyatt Earp had the famous line in the movie, my all-time favorite movie. He said, "You don't look as stupid as you look, Ike. You're not as stupid as you look." Do you think Iran is as stupid as they look tonight, or do you think they're going to understand that Israel's going to fight back? Jeemes, it ain't going to be pretty. And I hate to tell the Americans tonight, if that happens, we got World War III, brother. We got World War III in the Middle East. We just do.
Well, let me turn you back 2 or 3 weeks when I said, everybody was saying after these two commanders of Hamas and Hezbollah were killed, that there's going to be blood running in the streets. They're going to turn loose everything. And I said, not so fast. There's a whole different dance that takes place in the Middle East. And if you read between the lines of a lot of things that the Hezbollah mullahs or the Tehran mullahs are saying right now, they are looking for a back door, out of this situation, because what is constantly before their eyes. Remember when all of this started in October and we were waiting for the Israelis to act, and everybody said, they're buried deep in the tunnels and they'll never be able to ferret them out and they'll never be able to win in Gaza. And what the Israelis did was just leveled Gaza.
Yes. That's exactly what they did, James.
And Nasrallah, that's the head of Hezbollah, knows that if the Israelis level Beirut, and there are neighborhoods in Beirut that are totally dominated by Hezbollah, all of his political credentials and his credibility comes instantly to an end. And I suggest the same in Tehran, especially the vulnerable oil refineries and oil facilities along the Persian Gulf. You know, when those, if the instant they go into Israel, those things go up in flames, and with it, the entire economy of Iran. And they are in the decision room right now deciding which is more important, for us to exercise revenge and carry out our hatred for the Jews.
Come on, buddy.
Or a country that is going to be leveled to the ground. They've all seen what's happened in Gaza.
That's a great point.
And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that is a determining factor that urges some of these people toward caution. Plus, the Israelis have excellent intelligence. I mean, they got out ahead of this Hezbollah thing, and they are still talking about it in the back rooms of Hezbollah. How did they know just when to strike us before we could get to those missiles, drones, and other things airborne? And so there's a calculus in the Middle East that we just don't get it. And certainly this administration doesn't get it, but the Israelis,
they get it.
Live in a dangerous neighborhood, and they know how to play the game.
They do.
And so my point is that, I mean, Iran could attack tomorrow, but my sense is that they're going to gesture and jockey and
but not do nothing.
Thump their chest and not do anything, or do something that is so calibrated as to not invite massive bombing raids on their own country. That's my view.
Well, look, I told somebody very dear today, I said, you know, Israel's the kind of country, when they get that intelligence, they're not like us. They're not like the stupid United States that has to call the UN to take a dump in the toilet. No, Israel didn't call the UN and say, do you mind if we go attack Lebanon because we think there's a threat up there? They just did it, Jeemes, and that's how we need to be handling our foreign policy, but we don't. And I respect Benjamin Netanyahu for that, and the Middle East respects him for that. They may hate his guts, and the liberals may hate his guts, and even some of in his own party may hate his guts, and Candace Owens may hate his guts because she's so anti-Semitic she can't see straight. But I will tell you this tonight, Benjamin Netanyahu, I wish to God I could meet the man and shake his hand. He protects his people, and you're right, they got a legitimate threat, and come to find out, they uncovered a plot that had it went through, multiple thousands of lives would have been dead in Tel Aviv, the former capital of Israel. They were planning a massive assault on one of Israel's biggest cities over the weekend, and they stopped it because they acted first. And I'm with you 1,000,000%, and I'm tended to agree with you that Iran, I think, knows who they're dealing with, and I don't think they want to pick this fight. But James, we're living in a weird world right now, and you don't know what deals have been made behind the scenes with Iran and other nations. And so this could be a powder keg, and I would just say that, you know, we all need to pray about it. Buddy, always good stuff. I do want to ask you about Candace Owens. I know you don't maybe follow her. Maybe you've heard about what's going on with her. She's just went full-blown anti-Semitic. Do you realize that girl's got 5 million followers? 5 million followers on her social media, and she's just gone blank crazy.
Yeah. Well, before I get away, I did want to make note of one thing, that there's been a sort of a slight shift in the threatening postures in Tehran when the supreme leader said either today or yesterday that the real enemy, and you would expect him to say Jews, right? The real enemy of Iran is the Sunnis.
Yes.
And so he sort of rekindled that old Sunni-Shia rivalry, and I'm sort of interested to see how that goes and whether it grows legs in terms of Middle East strategic policy and the like. But, Chris, it's been a joy being on with you. Thank you for putting up with my viewpoint.
No, I love it, man. And I told you in the text, we're going to maybe talk about getting you on every week and maybe doing something, we don't know what night. But we'll mix it up just in case somebody's monitoring our broadcast and, wanting to come in and be a bunch of clowns. So we'll keep them guessing each week. But we definitely want you to come back. And look, and I'm coming to see you in Cincinnati, returning the favor up your way. And we love you, buddy. We appreciate you, man. It was such a pleasure meeting you. And I really, truly mean that. And we'll be in touch with you both privately and publicly soon and have some fellowship around the Reds game and a good steak up there in Cincinnati, okay?
That sounds wonderful. Always an honor being on your show. And God bless you, Chris, your program, and your listeners.
You too, buddy.
It is a time when those of like faith need to band together and start covering each other with prayer.
Buddy, you better believe it. Thank you so much, buddy. I'll be in touch, okay?
Okay.
God bless, friend.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Jeemes Akers, everybody, put some fire in that house. What a good guy right there. He is definitely one of the good guys, always. A couple of comments I want to read, and then we're going to play a video. It's 10 o'clock in the East. We want to welcome you to a very special McFiles Tuesday night. We have just been talking with my dear buddy Jeemes Akers. We got to meet Jeemes in person last week right here in the hills, and he is just as cool of a guy in person as you just saw on the phone, or heard on the phone at least. He's just a great guy. I met him and his wife, and I keep forgetting to download the picture. I'm going to post it on our Telegram page here, but I will. Made some great points and so forth. And there's a couple of comments I want to address. And Amy Miller over in Facebook tonight, she says, people are looking for something to give them purpose. The Democratic Party has been able to twist truth and offer a false sense of purpose to this younger generation by stoking racism, homosexuality, transgenderism, anti-Israel activism, woman's choice on life, things that they think give them a voice. Meanwhile, the Republicans sit back silently and don't fight back. And Amy, my dear friend, tip of the hat. Excellent said. And I would add to the comment about Republicans, Christians sit back and don't fight back. And I'm not talking about with these, but I'm talking about with our voice, with our voting, getting involved in our government, getting involved in our process, because we're too scared that we might vote for the lesser of two evils. And don't vote for that evil Donald Trump. He's the Antichrist. And I'll just go ahead, since I've been wearing the black hat for the first part of the program, I'm just going to go ahead and put the white hat on tonight. Chris has been called the Antichrist anyway, so if you're going to call Trump the Antichrist, you can call me the Antichrist too. That's my vote. That's who I'm voting for. And I've got no problem with it. Don't blink an eye doing it. Don't even pause doing it. Because Chris ain't on spiritual meth. And Chris has got a sound mind. And Chris is sober. Amy, your point is well taken. Your point is well taken, and that is exactly what is attracting people. This woman has not even put a policy up on her website. Not even one policy. Not one. Not one. And people are, the younger generation, I think James R. said it last night, the demographic that is being pulled to her is the youth. Magdalene believes that she's boring as you know what to them, but they don't care. They hate Trump because they've been convinced. The things you just mentioned, Amy, they've been convinced that the only person that can give them that is Kamala Harris. And that's what they want. And it's a sad state of affairs. Not much we can do about that, but that's well said, my friend. Well said. That is well said, Cleo. Yes, Cleo, I do know. Cleo was, I don't know if she was throwing shade. She was just being kind. She says, Chris knows that Tombstone stuff by heart. I told you it's my favorite movie. I've seen that movie so many times. I do know it by heart almost. Not every single line, but there's just some things that stand out, like the scene where Doc Holliday tells Ed, Ed, that's an ugly thing to say. And then Ed says, you're nothing but a lunger, or something like that. You're just an old filthy lunger. And Doc Holliday looks at Ed and says, Ed, if I believed you were not my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. And if you only knew, I want to get a shirt like that. If I thought you were not my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. You know? And, but anyway, we had to have a little light moment. But thank you, Cleo, for that. I had to laugh. Yes, I did. It was a pretty good line for that moment. There's a couple of other things I want to read. And Potato Girl is not truth. It's not truth. That's just rumor. That's just rumor. That's just rumor. So I doubt that. Anyway, Bob, your question. I want to take Bob Johnson's statement. He said, Iran has an eye on our election. They don't want Trump coming after them. Bob, they don't, but this is the thing. That's why they likely were involved in that assassination attempt. That's why they hacked into his campaign. That is why they're doing the things they're doing. My opinion, this is strictly an opinion, if we would have had a real investigation into this shooter back in the summer up in Pennsylvania, I can almost put what little money I got on the table and say that I guarantee you Iran had their hands in that assassination. I got a gut. This kid was tied. He got paid. This kid had money. He was well planned. This was not some just weirdo kid that got bullied around in school. I understand today the parents had lawyered up, of all things. When the FBI started investigating, they lawyered up, and they've stopped talking to the FBI. Not that the FBI was going to do much anyway, but they lawyered up. Your point's well taken, Bob, and I see your point. You're right. Your statement is right. Iran doesn't want nothing to do with Trump. But Trump's not in office right now. And between now and January, folks, this is what we've really been saying. This is what every guest on my network's been saying probably for the last 3 or 4 months. You better get your buckle, you better get your seatbelt on, and get ready for one hell of a ride between now and January. Because there is no telling what this world's about to get into. And I'm going to just say this. Chris don't traffic in conspiracies, and that's why Potato Girl, I'm not even going to read your comment. That's false. That is absolutely false. But this month of September has always been a dark month for America. It has always been a very dark month in history. And April has also been a very dark month. One of our most major terrorist attacks, September the 11th of 2001, took place September the 11th. We're coming up on the 23rd anniversary of that. It's hard to believe it's been 23 years ago. Hard to believe. We'll be doing a special presentation on that day, and we may be in Long Island that following weekend. We're trying to work it out to get the location nailed down and times, but it's going to be a very raucous time in our nation's history between now and January. And I urge you, as a fellow citizen, as a fellow friend, as a person that listens to our network, and we thank you all for doing that. And I apologize for the X folks tonight. They did it to us again. Our X feed is not feeding tonight for some reason, because some kind of problem with their premium thing, and we've sent a message to them. I don't know what's going on with them, but anyway, hopefully we'll be back up in a week or 3 days or whatever, how long it takes them to fix whatever bug they got. We are on Rumble, YouTube tonight, and Facebook. We'll upload it to X later, the show. But I just sense that something big is brewing. Whether it's Iran, whether it's the Middle East, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I don't have any revelation on it. I just sense a dread. I think the censorship story has really bugged me today. And Jeemes mentioned the article about the CEO of Telegram. They're threatening him. They've actually arrested him in France. Here's the story that we were talking about, but I want to put this story up here first about the CEO of Telegram. This is unreal. We put this in the story yesterday. Europe-style Telegram CEO Pavel Durov was arrested, quote, due to a lack of moderation on the platform. I'll just read you a couple of paragraphs of this. Telegram founder and CEO Pavel Durov was arrested in France on Saturday after his private jet landed at Le Bourget Airport. French media. Durov was arrested under a warrant related to, quote, various violations of his encrypted messaging service, which is Telegram. The 39-year-old, he's just a few years older than my oldest boy, who became a French citizen in 21, is expected to be brought to court on Sunday. French authorities are accusing him, folks, get this, of a lack of moderation involving Telegram. The messaging app is reportedly under attack in Europe for the viral circulation of false information, if you can believe that. Telegram has shielded itself from state moderation rules at a time when the European Union and the U.S. are putting pressure on major platforms to remove what they consider illegal content. France's OFMIN, Office to Combat Violence Against Minors, issued the warrant as part of an investigation into, quote, offenses ranging from fraud, drug trafficking, cyberbullying, organized crime, glorification of terrorism, and fraud, a source told the French newspaper. Enough with Telegram's impunity, a French investigator said. Durov, who doesn't sit down for interviews, spoke with Tucker Carlson way back in April, telling the former Fox News host that the Russian government was the first entity to demand that he censor speech via his other platform, VK, in an effort to quell protest in the country. He was requested to ban these protest organizing communities, and I refused, but that did not go too well with the government. This kid needs our prayers tonight, folks. A few years from then, in 2013, we had a similar situation where you had these protests in Ukraine where people, again, would use VK to organize themselves and go to the main square of the city, show their disagreement with the government. What we're going to do, I'm going to save this story for Friday night. On our live cast. We're going to have another live cast Friday. We got Leslie Millwee coming Thursday night. We got Marcia Montenegro coming tomorrow night. We got Judge Sherilyn Allen. We got a double feature going up Thursday night. We may do it late. I'm going to play that video with Tucker, but if you want to go ahead and watch it on Telegram, it's on Telegram. But I want to go ahead and go back to that story about Zuckerberg today. There's a lot of other news stories that we're going to not get to all of them because I want to play a video for you tonight. Zuckerberg admits Facebook killed Hunter Biden laptop story after FBI warned of Russian disinformation. He revealed that the Facebook killed the Hunter story after the FBI warned of a potential Russian disinformation operation and acknowledged that it shouldn't have demoted the story. In a letter to Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Zuckerberg wrote that after being warned by the FBI about a possible Russian disinformation operation regarding Joe Biden's family, Facebook went on to kill an article from the New York Post. In response to the article about corruption allegations about the Biden family, a Facebook, quote, sent that story to fact checkers and had it temporarily demoted. And what they did, folks, anybody that claimed that that was wrong was basically taken down off Facebook, and then it started circulating. At the time, Dorsey was in charge of X, or Twitter. It was Twitter then. And the other goofball was in charge of YouTube. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian information. In retrospect, we should not have demoted the story. We changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we are no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact checkers. And on that note, he offered this. He said he's sorry that he censored America's free speech on Facebook and Instagram. This was just today, actually. He admitted in a letter to the House Judiciary that the Biden administration, look at this, folks, look at this one. This affects all of us. The Hunter Biden stuff affected some of us. But this affected this network. And it affected many others. That he admitted in a letter to the House Judiciary Committee that the Biden administration pressured Facebook to censor certain COVID-related content in 21, including human and satire expressing regret for not being more outspoken against the government's actions. The Wall Street Journal reports that in a letter addressed to Jordan, he acknowledged that senior Biden administration officials, including those from the White House, repeatedly pressured Facebook to censor certain COVID-19 related comment, including humor and satire, in 2021. Zuckerberg revealed that the officials expressed frustration when Facebook teams did not agree to censor the content as required, highlighting the tension between the social media giant and the government over content moderation. Just admitted it. And there's the letter. We've got this story in our Telegram room. You can download the letter. It's got it all right there where you can download it. Quote, I believe that the government pressure was wrong. Wow, Zuck found Jesus. And I regret he found Jesus, that we were not more outspoken about it. I bet he was. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. This is a significant shift. Their publicly stated goal in 21 to push millions toward COVID-19 vaccines. Let me come back over here and say something about that. Dr. Stephen Smith, who is a visitor and a guest on this network, he's coming back soon, has said that all along. He told me that back in 21. My late Dr. Andy Deacle told me that before he died. It was never about the virus. It was always about those vaccines. And if you got on here and said the vaccines were dangerous and you shouldn't take them, they considered it medical misinformation and they took your freaking channel down. And you lost revenue. And you were sent to oblivion. We lost one channel over this. We lost another channel over some other stupid stuff some individuals caused. But this caused a 85,000, 90,000 subscriber channel called the McFiles to be taken down over this issue. And now Mr. Zuckerberg's apologizing for it all. And what he's telling us, we're not going to do this year, guys. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. Go out there and say the election was stolen in 2020 and see what they do. Go out there and say we can't let this one be stolen in 24. See what they do. You go out there and post something on Facebook that's anti-Kamala Harris or some kind of satire about her, joke, and find out and see how much his apology means. Anyway, I'm just saying it's interesting. Jennifer says, why now? It's a little too late. It is a little too late. Cleo says, courage is contagious. Perhaps Elon standing up to governments have inspired him. You know, Cleo, I hope that's the case. Elon has stood up. RFK Jr. has stood up. There's been others that have stood up. We'll see. We'll see if I'm not going to question his motive. But it's a little late because a lot of innocent people have been hurt. Now, I've got about 17 minutes. I have got a ton of videos that I do not have the time to play tonight. I wished I did. But I wanted to get James's opinion on Iran and Israel and some other things. I want to play two videos, if you don't mind, and we're going to get you out of here a little after 10:30, 10:40 tonight. We're not going to keep you 2 hours. We're going to keep you an hour and a half. But I want you to listen to Matt Walsh tell us tonight what happened to him just this weekend and what they're doing to him because he's standing up to define what's a man and what's a woman. And my dear buddy Jason Miller was on here Monday night, was a week ago, and he talked a lot about that. Jason's Jason, and he did it in the Jason way. But he was trying to get a point across, folks, that this perverse spirit is taken over. We've got transgenders in our government. We've got transgenders teaching our kids. We've got transgenders teaching kindergartners. We've got drag queens reading stories to first graders. And they're in every aspect of society. We've got transgenders pastoring churches and other things. But I want you to listen to Matt Walsh. I don't know Matt Walsh personally, but this video caught my attention. It's very troubling. I want you to just listen to it, please. No comments, not necessarily no comments, but just listen to the video. We're going to take your thoughts a little bit before we leave tonight. I promise. We're not going to leave you high and dry. I know you're dying to talk out there, and we're going to give you a chance to do this. But I want you to listen to what happened to Matt Walsh. It's very troubling, and let me see if I can find the video now. Watch me. Did I lose the video? You got to be joking me. You got to be joking me. Where is that video of Matt Walsh? Christopher Wayne McDonald, did you not download that video? Well, I thought I did. I tell you what, come on back Thursday night and I will play that video. I want you to listen to this guy while he's doing this. I'm going to try to find that video. And I want you to listen to our Alaska friends. If you think grocery prices are rough here, roll the tape.
Hi everyone, I'm Grant. I'm back home in Alaska. I'm outside the local grocery store. There's no roads in or out of Kotzebue. Everything needs to be flown in, so the cost of living here is really high. So here's a tour of the prices at the store. Milk is $12.69 a gallon. 18 eggs are $10.79. A 5-pound bag of flour is on sale for $12.99. 6 rolls of paper towels are $21.99. A regular sized bag of Doritos is $11.29. A 12-pack of Coke is $15.19. A pound of ice cream is $10.69. A Tide Pod container is $27.49. And last but not least, gas is $8 a gallon.
That's Alaska. That's Alaska. Holy moly. This is my dear buddy Tommy Tuberville up in Alabama. This is another interesting thing about all those that are on Social Security and all those that are paying almost 15% of your paycheck into Social Security. We're going to come looking for our money one day when Chris is in a wheelchair. Tommy Tuberville's got a message for us all, and it's a warning, folks. This is what's going to happen. Roll the tape.
This is all a scam. I mean, we got people that's getting ready to retire that's going to try to live off $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. Because what happens, it comes up here, we spend it. We're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have any of your money. We're dead broke. And then taxpayers have $2 trillion in credit card debt. In this body, we had better start figuring that out because we're going to have a run on this city and there's going to be about 150 million people coming up here saying, where's our damn money that we paid in? I could have put my Social Security money 40 years in the market and probably be worth 8 to 10 million today. But the federal government wasted it.
And I'd like to point out when Social Security was first founded, it started out as a 2% tax and they said this will never take more than 6% of your income. Today it takes 12.4%, and depending on whether you go with CBO or Social Security trustees, it needs to take between 15.8 and 17.5%. So we're talking about thousands of dollars more per year. It also was actually only originally recommended that the tax be up to $66,000, equivalent in today's dollars of earnings. But over time it has expanded massively and the money has been spent every year. So whereas everybody thinks this money's been set aside for me, no, for the past 13 years, every dollar that has gone out of workers' paychecks has gone immediately to pay promised benefits. And that's what happens when you have a system that enables those in charge of it to spend the money in the immediate term and leave the buck to the next generation.
What he's basically saying, this, folks, is very simple. We're broke. We got a $13 trillion debt right now, and Tommy Tuberville's a good guy. My brother didn't speak to me for about 6 months when he beat Jeff Sessions because Chris let my brother know that Jeff Sessions was not part of the plan. And I had to jab my brother a little bit and tell him that all those Jeff Sessions signs he had in his front yard would make great eBay material. He could take the money off eBay and donate to his brother's podcast. For some reason, he didn't like that. Way to go, Tommy Tuberville, even though he's an Auburn coach. He was a good guy. I want to play that again. I want to play the Elizabeth bit. I want you to listen to this, folks. This affects you and me, all of us. And this is for the generation behind us, too. We ain't got no money. And if you think you're going to live off your Social Security, when you get to that age and you think, well, I'm going to get my Social Security, there ain't no money. We're paying into something that ain't going to be there when we're coming to look for it. I'm just going to play that part that he said one more time. Listen to this real close. Play it, Tommy. Well, there we go again. That starts, it always does that when I try to replay it. Let me do this. Luckily, it didn't freeze the camera up. Usually it freezes the camera up. I'll have to play that again. I'll play that again another night. Here is Kennedy from Louisiana. I want you to listen to this, folks. This is the liberal mindset about abortion. Roll the tape.
Healthy, do you support abortion up to the moment of birth?
You're using really inflammatory language to talk about a medical procedure, and it's not a simple yes or no. Not to mention, when you make statements like that, you're erasing the grief and the trauma that my patient.
You're not going to answer my question either, are you?
It's not a question that can be answered
I think I know your answer.
way.
I think I know your answer. This is a baby at 21 weeks. Okay, the baby can feel pain, right?
Yes.
And the baby's pretty developed, right?
Yes.
And do you know the name of the procedure that the doctor would use to abort that baby at 21 weeks?
I'm not a doctor, but I believe it's a DNR.
It's called dilation and evacuation. And then the doctor would take what's called the doctor would call it a Sofer clamp. It's really a pair of pliers with sharp teeth on the end. And without giving the baby any pain medication, and start tearing the baby apart. Is that right?
As far as I understand the procedure.
Yeah, and she might start with the legs and pull them out, and the arms and pull them out, right? And then she might go for the heart or the spine and just pull the baby out piece by piece. Is that right? Without giving the baby pain medication.
That's what I understand the procedure to be.
Okay, so then the doctor would go in and use those pliers to crush the baby's head. Is that right?
As far as I understand.
And then she'd pull the head out, the crushed skull out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Senator Kennedy, your time has...
Yeah, they cut him off. Of course they did. There's a lot more to what he's about to tell. Did you see the girl's face? Yeah, I know that. I don't care. No remorse. No remorse. No remorse. That's what you're voting for. You pathetic, self-righteous pigs out there tonight that are not going to vote. You're voting by your silence. That's what you're voting for. Mark it down. You don't like that. You hate Chris. You're all that's good. I hope you're choking on that. I really do. Not in the physical sense. But that's what you're voting for by your silence. That's what you're voting for by your silence. That's the abortion process, folks. And he's very sanitized. It's really more worse than that. But he did a good job. Kennedy's a good man. Don't agree with everything he says, but he's a good man. And the media hates him. That's why I love him. When the media hates somebody, Chris is all in. Chris is all in. But did you notice her response? Did you notice her response? Her response was, I know, but I don't care. And that's America tonight, folks. That's the Dems tonight. That's the Republicans tonight. That's the Republicans tonight. All righty, I think I've got my video. Do I have my video? I think I got my video. Here's Matt Walsh on something that's happened to him. This is about a 5-minute video. And then I got another video from Australia I'm going to play you tonight about Candace Owens. I've got a ton of these. So please be with us this week. Tomorrow night's faith night. But Thursday and Friday night, we're going to hit you hard before Labor Day with some stuff. Just don't go buy groceries in Alaska. You Alaska folks, you might need to catch a train down to Washington State or somewhere. Folks, it's some scary stuff. What happened to Matt Walsh, it can happen to you. It can happen to me. but it's happening to him. We need to pray for him tonight. Roll the tape.
Well, I should have known that last week would be interesting. It began in an unusual way. On Sunday, I was leaving church with 3 of my kids in tow, and as I was walking towards the car, I heard someone shout my name from behind me. And I get flagged down by fans on the way out of church pretty frequently, as you might expect. The church-going crowd is my core demographic, so I didn't think it was anything, out of the ordinary. And the guy ran up, shook my hand, started making friendly small talk, but then his tone changed suddenly, and he told me that actually he thinks that my work has a terrible impact on the world. He said that this church, the one we just came out of, is a place of love, not hate, and I'm not welcome there. Now, I responded in no uncertain terms that he can't speak to me that way in front of my children and that he should be ashamed of himself. He turned around and walked hurriedly away, and that was the end of the conversation. Now, I hoped that my kids who were standing there hadn't been paying attention maybe, and maybe didn't realize what the guy said to me. I was hoping perhaps it didn't register on them. But when we got to the car, my son started to cry, and he asked me why that mean man said those things. And I explained to him that there are people in this world who don't like it when you speak the truth and when you try to do what's right. Their hearts are shrouded in darkness, and they hate the light, just as the Bible says. I tried to act unfazed for the sake of my kids, but the truth is that I was extremely angry. I don't care what you say about me or to me, but you've crossed a line when you make my boy cry. But it was an important lesson for him to learn and for me to relearn in preparation for the week ahead. So on Monday afternoon, I was informed that YouTube was demonetizing my channel. And this was the first step towards a possible permanent demonetization or banishment from the platform entirely. YouTube keeps its rules intentionally vague. That's the way they play the game. They'll penalize you for violating their policies, and yet they won't explain exactly what their policies are. So the company gives itself the license to single anybody out for whatever reasons they decide. They accused me of engaging in hateful conduct, which supposedly ran afoul of both their community guidelines and their ads guidelines. They already took the step of deleting a number of my offending episodes, which are gone now from YouTube, which is something that, again, they did on their own. And now they're taking away our ads, which is a penalty of more than $100,000 per month. That's what it adds up to. Now, they provided us with just 3 examples of my infractions, and these aren't all of them, they said, but they told us about 3. And they wouldn't tell us why they were infractions, but they said that, they told us what 3 of them were, and they said all 3 of them had to do with Dylan Mulvaney, coincidentally. And they all seem to involve the crime of quote-unquote misgendering. So, for example, one of the violations occurred when I referred to Mulvaney as a, quote, guy. That was a violation. And what you should know is that we were not flagged by the algorithm. Okay, it's not one of those algorithmic glitches. And this does not appear to be some low-level decision at the company either. Yet, a path to remonetization is available. It seems that we can get back into YouTube's good graces, get our monetization back by simply respecting preferred pronouns and refraining from offering any meaningful critiques of gender ideology. In other words, all I have to do to get all that back is forfeit my integrity and betray all of my deepest held principles. That's it. Now, not to skip ahead, but I can tell you right now that my answer to that offer is not only no, but hell no. The next day, shortly after I finished eating dinner with my family, I noticed that my Twitter account had been logged out on my computer. And I tried to log back in, but the password didn't work, and that's when I knew that I was hacked. So I grabbed my phone to call my team about it, but my phone had stopped working at the precise moment when the Twitter hack happened, and that's when I knew that the hack went far beyond Twitter. As we would soon find out, the hacker had pulled off a maneuver known as SIM swapping, and that's a thing where the targets, the person who's being targeted, your phone number is transferred over to a SIM card that the hacker controls. And once they have your number and your SIM card, they can access almost anything. And this hacker did. He got into my text messages, my DMs, my emails, everything. Leftists and trans activists were giddy. They were cheering on the attack. They begged for my private messages to be released. They said that I deserved to be the victim of this federal crime. At least one journalist openly solicited my stolen information. put out his email address and asked for my stolen DMs and my stolen information to be sent to him, to be emailed to him. The hacker then did an interview with this same journalist who works for the publication Wired. The hacker apparently showed the journalist my tax documents, showed him some of my pictures, some of my old emails. The article directly quotes one of my private emails, though it contained nothing salacious or even mildly interesting. In fact, it was a friendly exchange I had with Steven Crowder 10 years ago. And this made it into the Wired article for some reason. The only interesting revelation in the article is that the hacker says that he had help in pulling off this hack from an unspecified, quote unquote, insider. And we have independently, as we've been tracking this down, we've independently found other evidence which also points in that direction, that there was help from an insider. However exactly he did it and whoever helped him, and we will find all this out, I promise you, it resulted in something much worse than the mere headache of somebody posting dumb tweets from my account. This was a total violation of our privacy, and if I'm being completely honest with you, it was one of the worst things that my family has ever experienced. I didn't sleep that night. I was up with our security team, our tech guys, lawyers, trying to put out a dozen fires all at once. Through the following day, we had people on the phone with Microsoft, Apple, Google, Twitter, my cell phone carrier, the FBI, local law enforcement, etc. It was a nightmare, even with all these resources available to me. The fact that we can just get on the phone with all these different companies and try to solve this problem, even with that, it's a nightmare. I can't imagine what this kind of attack is like for people who aren't so fortunate.
Now, I'm not going to play. There's about another 8 minutes to that. I wanted you to hear what happened to him. He lost $100,000. You know what his crime was? Saying a man was a man. Saying a woman's a woman on his videos. I went back and listened to Matt Walsh. I didn't know who he was. I've heard of him. I've seen him on Twitter. It caught my attention. Started listening to it this afternoon. I was like, holy smokes. YouTube tells him you can come back as long as you don't call Dylan Mulvaney a man. Dylan Mulvaney's a man. But they're going after people. Now, Zuckerberg ain't over YouTube, so this ain't a Zuck problem. But it's the whole censorship thing, period. And it's happening in the UK. It's happening in Australia. It's happening in France. It's happening in the good old US of A. And folks, we are slip-sliding away to 1984 and the George Orwell vision of horrific vision of the future. I don't know what to say, other than we need to pray for Matt Walsh. This church, if I was Matt, I'd pull my family out and I'd never darken the door again. If I think Sheila Daspit said earlier tonight, if they claim they're a church of love, then why the hate in the parking lot? Well, it's because people are full of the devil in churches. Not all churches. But there's some people that are in churches that are full of the devil. There are people that don't go to church out there that claim they're Christians that are full of the devil too. And they're full of a lot of spirits that they don't even realize they're full of. But if Matt Walsh is hateful, then we're all hateful. Because I've never heard him say anything personally that I would say has sounded hateful. He was just speaking truth. But the hypocrisy of YouTube is they'll let him back if he'll just renounce the fact that Dylan Mulvaney's a man. Well, Matt Walsh can't do that. Matt Walsh ain't the creator. I mean, Matt's not the one in charge of Dylan Mulvaney. So I played that for a reason, to let you know what's out there. Now, I'm out of time. I want to play one more video. It's 5 minutes, 5 minutes. This is an Australian conservative commentator. For those of you who don't know, Candace Owens has gone slap dab crazy. I mean, I'm not talking funny crazy. I'm talking slap dab, insane, full-blown Stu Peters anti-Semite. And a lot of other voices out there tonight. That's why I put this Israel flag and this U.S. emblem behind me every night, proudly. Because I just want you to know where Chris stands, just in case you think I'm doubling down. Because I'm going to tell you something. I've said it last night again. I'll say it again tonight. I said it this morning maybe. The future of this nation is tied to this nation right here. And when the smoke clears in prophecy, and the smoke clears at the end of the tribulation, and the smoke clears in the Bible narrative of the Bible all the way to Revelation 22, I can tell you there's absolutely nothing said about this one, which is my nation tonight, and it hurts me to say it. This one is left standing. This one is left standing. And she will always be there. We studied it this morning on our Bible study. Be back with me in the morning. You Bible students, be back with me in the morning on the Faith Network. We got a good one. Because we're going to talk about this again. God will give mercy to Jacob, and he's chosen Israel, and he founded Zion. That's what we were talking about this morning. He's founded this nation. He's going to have mercy on this nation. He is going to choose this nation. There ain't nothing in the Bible that says he's done that to this one. He can have mercy on America. He has chosen America for a calling that we have failed to do. And he did found this nation with the purpose of serving him freely and to be a light of the gospel and to protect this nation and to stand with this nation. That's our calling. Now, Candace Owens, for some reason, has lost her natural-born mind. And I hate to call her name, and this is not a call-out tonight. I don't care what Candace Owens does. It's her business. She wants to be an anti-Semite. Chris ain't going to stop her. I can't stop her. But it bugs me because the 5 million people that listen to her, they believe her stuff. And they believe it. It's a lot of people. This Australian commentator, she's down in Australia charging $90 a head to come listen to her anti-Semitism. And he had some thoughts about it, and I tend to agree with him. Roll the tape.
Here we go again, calls to ban yet another commentator from coming here and poisoning the minds of impressionable Australians. This time, new Immigration Minister Tony Burke says he's considering banning American commentator Candace Owens from touring Australia next month, giving speeches. She's also going to New Zealand. Now, Owens is huge on the internet. She's more than 5 million followers on Instagram alone, billed as a fearless conservative. Well, she's not actually conservative, she's a total kook, and Jewish groups want her banned for alleged anti-Semitism. Now, you may have heard Owens on 2GB this morning with Ben Fordham saying any ban on her would be crazy.
Quite surprised to see that. They're like, don't give her a visa. She's a bad person. But I promise you, it is not going to harm you to hear different ideas.
Well, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it? And Fordham, who I genuinely respect and like, implied that these accusations that Owens preaches anti-Semitism really just came down to something she once said about Adolf Hitler, which she assured us was taken out of context. In this case, Fordham is badly wrong. Owens is a sick woman, and it shocks me that Australians are paying $95 a head to hear a woman who claims, for instance, that Israel may have been created by a secret sect of child-sacrificing pedophiles just claiming to be Jews. Frankists, she calls them, trying to control the world. All of them classic Jew-hating lies.
Catholics and Christians were going missing on Passover, and then they would find bodies, across Europe, and they were able to trace them back to Jews. Look.
All right, she said that. The commentator didn't put that in her mouth. He's not a ventriloquist. Chris didn't put that word in her mouth. I'm just asking you, and please, folks, listen to the video. We don't need your commentary right now. Listen to the video. We're going to take your comments here before we finish. Thumbs up in the house. How many believe that's an anti-Semitic statement? How many believe that's an anti-Semitic statement, what she just said? I'll put 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. I'll even ask the Lord to give me a creative miracle and put 3 thumbs up. That's anti-Semitism, folks. That's an anti-Semitic comment. That's an anti-Semitic comment. That's an anti-Semitic comment. You understand? Let me say it again. That's anti-Semitism. That's anti-Semitism. If you believe that's anti-Semitism, give me a thumbs up. Keep rolling the tape. Because it gets worse.
Bible, They weren't Jews, okay? These were Frankists. Unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists.
And it's just...
I'm going to let him finish his statement. Let me just tell Candace Owens something tonight. The nation of Israel was not founded by Frankists, or whatever the blank that is. No, the nation of Israel, folks, was founded by God. We read the verse this morning. You can read this in Isaiah 14:30, by the way. Please be with me on my morning Bible study. We'll help you. We help you anti-Semites. We'll help you get over your problem. I won't even charge you the therapy fee that you need to get mental help for your problem. I will help you for free. God, the Lord, founded Zion, not the Frankists. Keep rolling, buddy. I like this guy.
This woman actually also claims, for instance, that Stalin and Lenin were Jews too.
Stalin and Vladimir Lenin were anti-Semitic, and then I learned, wait, Stalin was married to...
Yes, they were literally a part of the Jewish cabal that, and credit
when I
to
talk
your...
about crushing history, or if you even say that, which I'm saying it, because I looked into it, and I found a friend who understands Georgian, and they're like, everybody knows that Stalin was Jewish. And I'm like...
He was not Jewish, folks. That's a lie. Keep going.
But Americans don't know this.
But 10 days.
No, we don't know it, Candace, because it's a lie. It's stupidity. It's anti-Semitism, Candace. That's why we don't know it.
They were the good guys. They helped us defeat Nazi Germany. They were the good guys. They were
As they were mass murdering Christians.
Oh. In fact, neither Lenin nor Stalin were Jews. Stalin actually trained as a priest. But facts mean nothing to Owens. Joining me are Daniel Wild, Deputy Executive Director of the Institute of Public Affairs, and Stephen Trevura, an author and senior lecturer in history at Campion College. Look, Stephen, we've had both Liberal and Labor governments ban too many people for shocking reasons, Milo Yiannopoulos, for instance, and this kind of censorship is very dangerous. But should Candace Owens be the one person we can agree who really should be banned? I don't know.
I don't think so. I have to say, though, Candace Owens has just been one of the big disappointments over the last year. I mean, I was a huge fan of hers when the Black Lives Matter riots were taking place, and she spoke out really persuasively against it all. But the last year, she's just gone completely off the rails. But no, I don't.
Off the rails? I would add a few vernaculars to that. I'll say off the rails. That's a nicer version of what I want to say.
She's the kind of person who should be banned. I think we need to be very careful about maintaining a very robust free speech regime because there are so many people with their fingers on a trigger wanting to ban speech. Now, if she was...
Now, I will agree with what this guy just said, and I just said it a while ago. I'm not here to tell Candace Owens to hush and be quiet. Candace Owens is free to say what she wants to say. But Chris McDonald can say also that Candace Owens, folks, is spewing anti-Semitism. I'm with the guy. I don't think they should ban her in Australia. But can I just take my hat off and talk me to you with the hair messed up and all? If you Australians are that dumb to put $90 of your well-earned, hard-earned money into listening to this down there, please listen to this Southerner. Don't! Roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Inciting violence, that would be very, very different. But I don't really see her doing that. And so I think in this instance, she should be allowed in. And I'll just say that there is an anti-Semitism issue in Australia, but I don't think it's not the people who follow Candace Owens who are teaching children to chant Intifada at Sydney University.
I will agree with that too. Candace Owens is not the problem. She is a symptom of a bigger problem around the world tonight. The world hates Israel, and she has been caught up in this spirit. I'm saying this, folks, because we really need to pray for Candace about as bad as we need to pray for Matt Walsh for different reasons. I do. I mean, I don't know Candace Owens. I don't know. I met her. I saw her passing in the hallway at a CPAC meeting here about 5 years ago. She's gone. Sebastian Gorka basically called her out, and he got called out by somebody else, and the Jews have been accused of everything under the sun. All this Pizzagate, all of this stuff, pedophiles are from Israel. They're hiding pedophiles, and Israel's the spawn of Satan, and they knocked this symbol behind me as being the Requiem star when people don't even know what Requiem is. They don't even have any clue, the people that say that crap. out there do not even have an inch of knowledge of where that even comes from. But it sells likes and it gets video ads to make people want to listen to their nonsense. It doesn't start with Candace, but she's embracing the anti-Semitism.
It's not the people following Candace Owens who are saying, where's the Jews, and gas the Jews, and attacking synagogues in Australia. That's not her crew. That's radical leftists and radical Jew-hating pro-Palestinians. And so I would be opposed to banning her from coming in.
Daniel Weil?
I share Stephen's perspective. I mean, those quotes that you put out, Andrew, I completely disagree with. And if Candace does make it to Australia, and I don't think she will, but if she does, I won't be going to her events. But she was really a rising star in the US conservative movement, and over the last 6 to 12 months, something very strange has happened. But I don't think that she should be banned. I understand those who want her banned, but she shouldn't be banned for 2 key reasons. One of them is that censorship just doesn't work. Whether Candace Owens comes to Australia or not will have no bearing on anti-Semitism in Australia. As Stephen rightly identified, it's a homegrown problem that we have in this country, a serious problem that needs to be dealt with. But Candace Owens is neither here nor there on that issue. And we also know that we've never had more censorship than we do today in the post-war era, and anti-Semitism is at a record high in that era. So censorship doesn't work. And secondly, we can't have politicians and bureaucrats deciding who can and cannot come into this country based on the speech with which they disagree. Let her come to the country and let Australians decide and hear for themselves what she has to say.
I totally agree. I totally agree with what he just said. So we're not calling for a ban on Candace Owens. Candace Owens can go do her thing here in America. But Chris ain't going to put a dime into doing it. And folks, the only reason I'm even bringing this up about her is that her influence is great in this country. 5 million followers. And the things she's saying, I know some of you are going to get upset with Mac tonight when I say it. The things she's saying, it's coming right out of the Q movement. It's coming right out of the anti-Semites in the church. Sounds to me like Candace Owens has been sitting in most churches listening to this garbage, and I could care less if she's in the UK or not. It's not the UK's problem. I don't care if the UK's anti-Semitic. That does not give her a reason to be anti-Semitic. I don't care what it's full of. But folks, this is the thing tonight. I'm going to say this as a close because I've run out of time tonight. We got a wild week ahead. We're just getting started tonight. Now, tomorrow night's faith night. McDonald will be calm. I'll be teaching tomorrow night. So you ain't got to worry about me being crazy tomorrow night. Thursday night, Friday night, you better hide the kids. If I'm going to be the Antichrist, might as well act like him, right? Let me say it again as I close. This nation right here, there ain't no record of it in the Bible. None. This one is mentioned over 670 times, Genesis to Revelation, in some variation form. Jacob, Israel, Zion. Jerusalem is her capital city, mentioned close to 800 times in the Bible. USA, zilch. Zilch. And when people claim, well, the USA is the Jerusa, no, the word there is Salem. You got certain individuals out there claiming that that's Salem, Massachusetts, and that proves that Israel's full of witchcraft. That's how demonically bad and evil and wicked people's thinking has gotten, folks, as it relates to this beautiful tiny nation tonight. That is, yes, away from God. But can I ask you a question tonight? Is this nation not away from God? Are we not away from God tonight? These things that we're talking about tonight, these things me and Jeemes are talking about, is that a nation that is in line with God's plan tonight? No, it's not, is it? So we have no right to judge this nation that is outside of God's will either. But I want to say it again, folks. The Bible tells us what this nation's future is. The Bible does not tell us what our nation is, where we're headed. But I will promise you this tonight, and you can take your picture. I did this last night, and Susan Pruski thought it was funny. She took a screenshot of it, so I'm going to do it again. I just want to go ahead and pose for all the haters of the Trump hat tonight. Make sure if you're trashing me, and you're going to put a video out to trash me tomorrow, please use this still instead of some weird facial thing you always do. Okay, that was for the haters. Let me tell you this, neighbor. The future of this nation tonight is tied to this one, and whether we support it or not. And this thing in Iran wouldn't even be happening if we were supporting Israel like we should be. Because Iran would be scared to death of this nation if they dared attack Israel. They're not tonight. They're not tonight. Now, I ran out of time, and I went a little later than I wanted to. I'm sorry for that. But it is the McFiles. You're used to it. I got a lot of funny videos. I wanted to play another video too, to sort of go out on a light note, but it's late, and I am done. I got to play one. I just got to play one. This is a Kamala Harris parody ad. I'm probably going to get yanked for this one, but it's too hard to resist.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Play that again. After years of law enforcement and security, I know everything there is to know about safety at our border.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Way to go, Kamala. I'm sure you do. We got some funny stuff we're going to share with you Thursday night, Friday night. Great guests still to come. Judge Sherilyn Allen. Ain't she always wonderful? She'll be with me 8 o'clock Thursday night. Leslie Millway on the Late Show. Friday night, special guest coming hopefully. And more videos, more news updates. Did you enjoy the show tonight? Sorry I didn't get to all your comments. Just hang on to them. Hang on to them. If you enjoyed the... If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoyed the show, put some fire in that house. Put some fire in the house tonight. If you enjoyed the show, my favorite Doc Holliday quote: Ed, if I didn't think you were my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. I just don't think I could bear it. I had to go out with a Tombstone clip. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Be blessed. Here's the Kamala song again. And Hotel California Kamala. Good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. I'll see you back here in the morning. And we'll be back here tomorrow night on the face side. And then back here Thursday night on the news side. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed. And what did I just do? Please tell me. I did not delete that. Goodness gracious. There we go. All right, here we go. There's the song. Let this take you out tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
On a dark Sacramento highway, cool wind in my hair, a rotten smell of ambition in the air. Up ahead there's an election. Biden was forced to step down. A new contender jumped ahead. Kamala now has the crown. Borders are, she was christened.
Do not come.
She should visit someday.
Not today.
Hasn't been there or Europe.
I haven't been to Europe.
What does it matter anyway? So illegals keep crossing. Unchallenged they come. From Kamala Harris, nothing's to be done. Welcome to Kamala's California. Such a high-tax place, such a high-tax place, such a littered space. They want the U.S. like Kamala's California. Something I despise, something I despise. Let's do better, guys. She's got pronouns in her email.
My pronouns are she and
Tracked
her.
inflation so high. She's pushing solar panels and saying gasoline should die. Taxation dances in the courtyard. Green subsidies for billionaires, while others can afford to eat. Welcome to Camelot, California. Such a high tax place, such a high tax place, such a big disgrace. Hard to survive in Camelot, California. What a harsh surprise, what a harsh surprise. There's no end in sight.
I'm not finished.
Crime so rampant they're fleeing.
Companies packing their bags.
Empty stores from the take, and she said, we are all just victims here of the policies we made.
Prices have gone up.
From the vice president's mansion, she makes plans with glee. She's looking to California. She didn't just fall
You just fell out of a coconut tree?
Last thing I remember, I was dodging their schemes, trying hard to find the truth again, beyond their false daydreams. Relax, said the spokesman, we are programmed to deceive. Soon enough this will all be nationwide, so you can never leave.
They got what they asked for.